Hi, I'm Steven Højlund. Welcome to the Danish Dream channel. If you're here, you're probably interested in Denmark, whether you're planning to move here or you're just visiting, or maybe you just want to know more about this small Northern European country. And I'm here to help you getting that knowledge. But this video is a special one. In this video, I will go a bit behind the scenes and talk about why I'm making these videos and what's driving me. I'm doing this to give you some ideas about my own motivation and give you some information about who I am as well. If you like my purpose and mission and you can relate, you can send me ideas and questions that I can answer in future videos. Let's get started. I want to start out to tell a little bit about why I created this channel in the first place. First, I know how hard it is to move to a new country. It can be overwhelming, frustrating, and sometimes downright confusing. That's why I want to help foreigners settle in Denmark essentially. Whether you're here for a job, studies, or a fresh start, my goal is to make that transition smoother for you. Denmark is not the easiest place to integrate. I experienced also the frustration myself when I lived abroad, and I will tell you about that experience in just a minute. Denmark is also an incredible place to visit with so much to see and experience. So I decided to also focus on guiding tourists and short-term visitors on how to get the most out of their stay. Finally, Denmark is a small country and many people around the world don't know much about it. I want to change that. I believe Denmark has a lot to offer and I want to share that with the world. I know the ins and outs of Danish culture and history, and I think I can provide an objective and realistic take on everything Danish. Before starting this channel, I did some research, and what I found was quite interesting. First, I found a fair amount of channels made by foreigners in Denmark telling their stories and impressions from their life in Denmark. These are super helpful channels and really well made as well. But most of the time, the angle is very much US-centric, comparing an American life with a Danish life and communicating to an American audience as well. That's fine for what it is, but Americans are only a little minority of all foreigners coming to Denmark. So the cultural differences covered by those videos might be relevant to an American audience, but not so much to a European or Asian audience. As a Dane, I also think something is often missing in the way Denmark is typically being portrayed. It's like 10 to 20% of the whole story that is sort of left untold, I think. And often the light shines a little too bright and positively on Denmark without too much critical coverage, I think. It's a bit happy-go-lucky, everything is great here. The usual stories evolves around the state-funded healthcare, education, as well as how well everything is working in Denmark. Overall, I also think that the Danish model is a superior social contract. I mean, after all, this is why I live here as well. So I really love Denmark, and I do understand why, if you hear that from the first time in your life that college is basically paid for, that your years are maybe ready to fall off. But nevertheless, I want to tell the story with more context to it. I want to go a bit deeper into it all to get a more detailed coverage on the things that are not working so well. Denmark is not the country at the end of the rainbow for everyone. Some people like to be in the mountains. Some people like to be in a warm place. Denmark is probably not for those people, right? And another thing I found in my research was that Denmark is often being misrepresented by international media. An example of this is the debate in the US whether Denmark is a socialist country or not, which I reacted to in a video some time back that you can watch up here. Denmark is one out of 195 countries in the world. It's a very small country and most people wouldn't know it at all or where to place it in the world. I want to change this and tell the told and untold stories so that people everywhere can get a bit more nuance to what Denmark is like. I've studied, worked and lived abroad for some years, and those experiences put Denmark in a different light and opened my eyes to more nuances of the Danish society and culture. When I was studying political science at the University of Copenhagen, I also spent a year in Paris as an Erasmus student. That experience changed me profoundly. It's tough speaking a foreign language all the time, but it also gave me a fresh perspective on so many Danish things. For example, I noticed that the drinking culture was so different in France, and I really appreciated the depth of intellectual culture in France. The language and awareness of history, philosophy, and different cultures cultures were something I found less prevalent in Denmark, where people have a more pragmatic culture, less interested in big ideas. And pragmatic culture is also super fine sometimes, just getting things done. I like that as well, but I just got that different intellectual experience in France. After Paris, I graduated with a master in political science and spent another year in Poland at the College of Europe studying EU integration with a focus on Eastern European history. That year also gave me some other perspectives, especially on the European Union and the consequences of socialistic and authoritarian regimes. I started to see things in a broader historical context, which was fascinating to me, but also something that we typically tend not to do in Denmark, or at least not see Denmark in a broader European historical context. I've lived in Denmark, France, Poland, and the US, and each place has given me different perspectives on life. Moreover, I've traveled to almost every country in Europe and many more countries outside of Europe in many other areas of the world. I believe I have a deep understanding of Danish culture and society, and I know it from multiple angles. This is what I want to share with you and how I think I can contribute and provide value to you when you come to Denmark and want to understand this country. I love Denmark, but I also think it's important to stay critical. Denmark has achieved a high standard of living for its citizens, but it's not paradise for everyone. Through my videos, I hope to provide you with practical advice on how to navigate life in Denmark, what to see, and how to enjoy your time here. But I also want to give you an honest view of what Denmark is really like, the goods, the bads, and everything in between. Whether you are watching my videos to learn something practical, to understand Danish culture better, or just out of curiosity, I hope you find value in them. I also hope that my content can inspire you, whether it's to make changes in your own country or to challenge me on Denmark and share your perspective from where you are in the world. So if you like what you see, give the video a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And if you have ideas for topics you'd like me to cover, drop a comment below. I'm always open to suggestions. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.